Well, I think it's time to start talking about ferrules again. Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McCleary, most awarded certified club maker, club fitter. If you would like, subscribe, hit that bell, and that way you get more of these videos when they drop. If you would, follow me on my social platforms of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where you can find me at McGolf Custom Clubs or I Am McGolf. Let's turn some ferrules. All right, it's more than just turning ferrules, right? We want to finish ferrules. We want to show you how it's done, or at least how I'm doing it. And we'll talk about other techniques that you can do at the house. What is a ferrule? A ferrule right now in most cases is nothing more than a decorative piece that goes on the golf club. In the day, a ferrule actually performed a protective function in which it helped support the hosel because the hosels were quite thin and you needed more, well, support in order to go through there. Now, in some cases, you will see that there are ferrules that have shoulders on them, or collars as the case may be, and they fit into a groove that's on the top of the ferrule. And that's to have a smooth transition from one to the other, and what people will call a shear point, okay? Now, the ones that don't have them, if they're quality made in the hosel, they will have a chamfer, right? And it's about a 30 degree maybe. I don't think it's 45, but maybe 30 degree. And that helps, when the glue gets in there, that helps bond the two together and kind of take up that same spot. And steel, you really don't have to worry about that so much. It's more of a graphite help, okay? Why is it so important to have this ferrule? Again, it's a decorative piece. It makes the club look good. And it also can make the club look bad if it's not finished properly. Now, what you'll see even from OEMs is that they'll have kind of a bulb on it, and that's just from grabbing it and twisting it, and it gives it a certain style, and that's the style that OEM is known for. For most folks, that you and I, we're going to try and finish them off. We either use a piece of sandpaper, a belt sander of some variety, something in order to make this nice smooth, give it a smooth appearance. I guarantee you, if you're a club maker or you're a guy walking into a club maker shop and you see this, you'll see this happening. And this is a measure of the attention to detail for a club maker gauging yet another one. And that's what it is. It's just to gauge them. And because it's important to have that level of attention to detail, because if you're not doing the easy stuff, what's going to happen when you do the hard stuff? So ferrules in a nutshell, that's what that's all about. So what we're going to do is as you've seen, I have two sets of Mizunos that have to go out to customers, and we're going to finish one of each kind, and I'm going to show you what is important on one and what's important on the other. So let's go check that out. Now, I've just picked up the two that were standing together. The ferrule's the ferrule, and one's a gap. Well, they're both gap wedges. How about that? So one's steel, one's graphite. And you see I've taken the tape that I've used to hold them down together as a protection on the shaft. Why do I do that? All right, so different belt sanders. What we want to use, I prefer a 1x42 belt sander running at 1800 RPM. And that's because it's a slower speed. In case you make a mistake, the damage isn't nearly as severe as much like the 1x32s or the 1x30s that run at 3600. It's just faster. Can you do it? Yeah, it just takes a much more delicate touch. And when you're doing a lot of these, there's always a chance of a mistake, and I like minimizing those, so that's what we use. And it's also much of the more common, right? It's more common. And the two that are the most common, now they use when you're using a 1x42 belt, there are two common belts that get used, all right? The first one is a paper belt, all right? And it's like a shoe shine, but it's made out of you can hear that? It's made out of a piece of cloth, right? Now, it really, really eats up ferrules very, very efficiently, except for when you get a belt sander that has a curved roller on it. It'll turn, or even flat for that matter, but what happens is the edges start turning up. And when they turn up, they tend to cut the shaft. Now, that's important for a graphite that you don't want. It doesn't hurt the steel physically, but cosmetically, yeah, you get this circle. And who wants that? Looks like it's been cut. Nobody wants that. Then so can you do it? Yeah, but you have to be very, very particular yet again. The second one is a felt belt. Now, the last time I did this, I showed you guys that it was blue. And I think I prefer the blue one, but the supplier only supplies black now. So, and it's called a felt belt, right? It's a black felt belt. And it does eat up the ferrule without eating up the shaft and without eating up the ferrule side or the paint on the ferrule side. So it's a much easier thing. And as far as work goes, it's not too much different as far as the paper belt. So this one, I don't think it lasts as long as the paper belt does, but it is so much easier to use. Now lastly, if you're not lucky enough to have a belt sander like I am, is that you can get Emery Cloth or a sandpaper on a belt. I used to do it. And what you would do is you take this sandpaper, right, and rip you off a piece, just like that. And it's aluminum oxide. This is about a 240. You could probably go more. And what you do is you hold it in your vise and you would give it a shoe shine motion. Now you would really, really, really want to make sure your tape is right at the base of the ferrule so you don't sand, because this is true to life sandpaper. And you do like this, you turn it around, you do like this, turn around, till you get it nice and round. Now there will always be an edge, right? Because you're protecting yourself against destroying the club head's hosel. Paint job, chrome, whatever, you don't want to do that. So the next question I can see burning in your heads is, yeah, that's what we want, right? We got to get rid of that edge, right? You've created an edge. How do you do that? Well, with acetone, right? You can get a couple of the, well, hold on. Paper towels cut into squares. Wet them down real good with acetone, and then what you do is you just get it, you wrap it around, and you just do like this. You give it a little pressure, and it wipes it down to where they're even. It takes a little practice. That's not going to show up right away, but it takes a little practice to get it nice and thin. And then what you've done is you've evened it out. All right, so it feels pretty good. And then it takes us up onto the next step, which is the making it shiny, giving a level of protection, that kind of stuff. So let me show you what it looks like when I do it. All right, you see that we have our felt belt here. I have what's called a ferrule turning stand, and that just keeps my work nice and level. It is the 1800 RPM 1x42 belt. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into the belt as it's rotating like that. All right, until we see it be smooth. All right, the next step is, after we've taken the tape off, is to get that paper towel I told you about, get it nice and wet with the acetone. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of acetone as long as it's good acetone. Okay, so you can see what it looks like now. All right, it's kind of a dullish color, right? And it's just real quick back and forth, and it's just opposite of the way that you turned it. And we'll get the other one. And then we got this one as well. And then we go like this. Now you'll notice that you're doing really, really well when on both those ferrules it looks like that. All right, so going back to the first one that we did. Now it looks nice and shiny, right? Not bad, but we're not done. So now what we've done is we're going to the Glanzwatch wheel, i.e. the yellow polish, and everybody asks me what the yellow polish is. Well, I finally ran out of the first one, so now I've got a big old bar of it. It's Menzerna finish. It's a number 4. And if you go to Grizzly, okay, write this down. If you go to Grizzly, it's a yellow fine polish, and the part number is H0813. H0813. All right, and it's a yellow polish, and this is what goes on the wheel, okay? All right, so I just ran it over the buffing wheel with the yellow polish, and there it is. So we just give it a quick up and down, and voila, ferrule. Okay, there's that one. And then there's that one. All right. Ooh, there you go. So they both look pretty good. Now what I look for is, does the bottom of the ferrule look straight? Are there any jagged areas, which would give you an indication that you didn't get it all, right? And then at the bottom, to make sure that there's nothing jagged out of the bottom and that your shaft is now nice and clean. That's on both of them. And you look at that, very nice and clean, a very professional look. That's what we're looking for. Now it looks pretty good. Now, does that mean the club's going to work for you? Well, I hope so. If the guy's really good, if the person that's built it, or you had some fun building it, have fun with it, right? Have fun with putting this stuff together. Perfect your art. Have a little fun. Now, if you're getting outside your depth and you need some help, just give us a call. We'll take care of it for you. And as always, let's see your scores go low.